Video. He might not be here to when the cure gets here, but he wants us all to stop this devastating disease. My father was the same way. So, how many of you were here last year and remember the guy who was spinning around in circles on the dance floor in a wheelchair? I didn't get to be here last year to see that, but I heard all the stories. I got to call him Dad, and that was an incredible thing. We lost my dad last November. It was really hard, and it was because of that disease that we're here to raise funds for it tonight. My father was a very amazing man. Both of my parents are. He did more in one lifetime than most people do in 5. He's traveled to over 50 countries. He was an extremely adept businessman. And my mom likes to say that he never met a stranger. Every person he met, he treated the same, with the same level of respect and compassion, no matter whether they were the CEO or the janitor. I remember the day my dad was diagnosed. I was actually working with him at the time. He was my direct boss. Yes, that was odd. I knew he had the doctor's appointment that morning, and my mom, she's been a nurse for a very long time, so she kind of knew what way that would go. And when he came back to the office, I asked him, so how did it go? And he got a big smile on his face, and he goes, so, I've got 3 to 5 years to teach you everything I know. And I said, so that's it? What are we gonna do? And he just told me, it's okay. We'll be all right. Let's get started. We got a lot to cover. Those words were a very true reflection of who he was as a person. Someone who always looked at the glass as half full and not half empty. He always saw what could be and not what was, and he saw the good in life regardless of the circumstances. I remember the day that my parents sat me down and had the conversation about coming to live with them because my mom had reached a point where she needed help taking care of him. They asked me if I could move in. I have a daughter, Juliana. She was 4 at the time and is now 5. We moved in, and it was one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. Her reaction to my father's disease was quite remarkable. To see something like this through the eyes of such a small child is an amazing thing. It's lost so quickly on adults. She was so happy that she got to help Grandpa with all these grown-up things, like sneaking him chocolate chip cookies and snacks when no one was looking, making sure he had all his candy, which of course, that meant that she got 2 when he got 1. And she was a constant joy to both Mom and Dad. Her continual willingness to help and give of herself to take care of him was just amazing. My dad didn't crack very often. He always had a smile on his face, and whenever anyone asked him how he was doing, he would always say, I'm living the dream. And there was one night we were eating dinner, and he had gotten to the point where he couldn't lift his hand anymore to feed himself, and he started to cry. My daughter asked him what was wrong, and he said, I'm just upset I can't do this anymore. And she said, you know what, Grandpa, it's okay. I got this. You just have to open up for the airplane. She proceeded to make airplane and bumblebee noises for the entirety of the rest of the evening, and it made everyone laugh, of course, and it made my dad laugh so much he couldn't eat. I remember the last trip to Disney that we had. She constantly got tired and had to ride around on Grandpa's lap in his wheelchair. Got driven all the way around the park. It was great. I remember going to pick up my mom and dad over at Bongo's because they had one too many mojitos and couldn't get back to the hotel. It was the bartender who knew them from their last trip was so upset to see him in a wheelchair he couldn't handle it. My dad said, you know what, it's all right. I'm learning to delegate. I delegate you to make me a drink. Yes. I remember the last time I got to dance with my dad. He loved to dance. I handed my phone to my sister so she could get it on video. I told her, make it good. It's going to be the last time that this happens. Don't screw it up. All the memories that I have, that my daughter has, that my sister has, that his 11 grandchildren have, are due in part to people like you. Because what you donate translates directly into time. My father used to tell me, the most precious commodity that you have is your time. Once you spend it, you can't get it back. You can't recreate a moment, and if you let your time pass you by, you can't go back and do things again, ever. To you, this donation is something you do out of the goodness of your heart and your compassion to aid this cause. But to the people you're giving to, what this is time. Time they get to spend with their loved one. Quality of time they get to spend doing things they otherwise would not be able to do. We were able to complete my father's bucket list thanks to his wheelchair. The research that went into that chair gave him a quality of life that was not boiled down to being confined to a bed. I can't tell you what that means. This is a horrible disease that I never thought could affect my family prior to my dad's diagnosis. What we are doing this evening is so much more than just donating to a cause. What this is creates moments, and that's priceless. I want to thank you for being here. My father may not be with me, but tonight allows me to carry on something that was precious to his heart.